Okay, shall we start, Prabhuji? Hare Krishna.
Yes, please, you can start.
My humble obeisances to all the devotees. I seek your blessings. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chapter 13, Kshetra Kshetragna Yoga. Arjuna Vacha. Prakritim Purusham Cheva. Kshetram Kshetragyam Evacha. Etad Vetu Tam Ichhami. Jnanam Geyam Cha Keshava. Shri Bhagwan Vacha. Idam Shariram Kaunteya. Kshetramiti Abhidhiyate. Etadyo Veti Tam Prahu. Kshetragna Iti Tadvida.
Arjuna said, "O my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, and the field and the knower of the field, and of knowledge and the object of knowledge." The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and the one who knows this body is called the knower of the field."
Text 3. Kshetragyam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata kshetra kshetragyor jnanam yata jnanam matam mama.
O son of Bharata, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies, and to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That is my opinion.
Tat, text 4. Tat kshetram yacha yadrikcha yad vikari yatascha yat sachayo yat prabhavascha tat samasena meshvinu.
Now please hear my brief description of this field of activity and how it is constituted, what its changes are, whence it is produced, who that knower of the field of activities is, and what his influences are.
Text 5. ऋषिभिः बहुधा गीतं छन्दोभिर्विविधैः पृथक् ब्रह्मसूत्रापदेश्च वा हेतुमद्भिर्विनिश्चिते.
That knowledge of the field of activities and of the knower of activities is described by various sages in various Vedic writings. It is especially presented in Vedanta Sutra with all reasoning as to cause and effect.
Text 6 and 7. Mahabhutani anahankaro buddhir avyaktamev cha indriyani dashekam cha panchachendriya gochara इच्छा द्वेषा सुखम दुखम संगता चेतनाधृति एता क्षेत्रम समासेन साविकारम उदाहृतम.
The five great elements, false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses and the mind, the five sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms, and convictions. All these are considered, in summary, to be the field of activities and its interactions.
Text 8 to 12. अमानित्वम अधम्बित्वम अहिंसा शांतिर आर्जवम आचार्योपासनम शौचम स्थैर्यम आत्मा विनिग्रह इंद्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम अनाहंकार एव च जन्मा मृत्यु जरा व्याधि दुखा दोषानुदर्शनम आसक्तिर अनाभिष्वंगा पुत्रादारा गृहादिषु नित्यं च समचित्तत्वम् इष्टनिष्टोपपित्तषु मयि चान्ययोगेन भक्तिरव्यभिचारिणी विविक्ता देशा सेवित्वम् आरतिर्जना संसदि अध्यात्मा ज्ञान नित्यत्वं तत्त्वज्ञानार्थ दर्शनम् एतद् ज्ञानम् इति प्रोक्तम् अज्ञानं यद् अतो अन्यथा.
Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest, even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization, and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All this I declare to be knowledge, and besides this, whatever there may be, is ignorance.
Text 13. Geyam yat tat pravachyami yad gyatvam ashnute anadi mat paramam brahma nasat tad nashad uchyate.
I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal. Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world.
Text 14. Sarvata pani padam tat sarvato akshi shiro mukham sarvata shuti malloke sarvam avritya tishtati.
Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads and faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the Supersoul exists, pervading everything.
Text 15. Sarvendriya gunabhasham sarvendriya vivarjitam asaktam sarvecheva nirgunam guna bhokta cha.
The Supersoul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. He is unattached, although he is the maintainer of all living beings. He transcends the modes of nature, and at the same time, he is the master of all the modes of material nature.
Text 16. Bahir antascha bhutanam acharam charam evacha sukshmatva tat avikyam durastham chantike cha tat.
The Supreme Truth exists outside and inside of all living beings, the moving and the non moving. Because he is subtle, he is beyond the power of the material senses to see or to know. Although far, far away, he is also near to all.
Text 17. Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu vibhaktam iva cha sthitam bhutabhatra cha tajgyageyam gashishnu prabhavishnu cha.
Although the Supersoul appears to be divided among all beings, he is never divided. He is situated as one. Although he is the maintainer of every living entity, it is to be understood that he devours and develops all.
Text 18. Jyoti sam api tajyotis tamsa param uchyate jnanam geyam jnanagamyam hiti sarvasya vishtitam.
He is the source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge. He is the object of knowledge, and he is the goal of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart.
Text 19. Iti kshetram tatha jnanam geyam choktam samasata madbhakta etad vigyaya madbhava upapadyate.
Thus, the field of activities, the body, knowledge, and the knowable have been summarily described by me. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and thus attain to my nature.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. Yashmini Mataji was very nicely recited. English was perfect. Thank you so much. And Rasalila Shrimati Mataji, terrific pronunciation and what speed. Very, very, very fluently done. Thank you so much. It is so enlivening to know that all the devotees are learning to recite the verses so nicely. That's great. That's one big positive from these child classes. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, let me now see if I stop this, maybe I'll just show the yeah. Can you confirm you can see the verse now?
No, Prabhuji.
No.
No? Okay, no. In that case, I'm going to stop share and do it again. 1 second.
Okay, you can come in.
Okay, now you can, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, right. So we're going to continue reading the chapter 13. Very interesting chapter, very technical. We've reached text 15 today. So we'll just recite the verse again. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. Sarvendriya Gunabhasam Sarvendriya Vivajitam Asaktam Sarvabhichaiva Nirgunam Gunabhoktacha. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The super soul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. He is unattached, although he is the maintainer of all living beings. He transcends the modes of nature, and at the same time, he is the master of all the modes of material nature. Purport. There's 2 paragraphs of purport, one big one small one. So let's see who's here. Krishnavani Mataji, perhaps you can read the first paragraph, and then Krishnagi Mataji, if you can read the second one.
Krishna is saying the first verse, yeah?
Yeah, yes. If she's there, I'm not sure. Is she here? I thought
She's there, she's there.
she's there, right?
I saw her name.
Yeah, I looked at her name. That's why I said it. But maybe she's probably just popped away from the screen. So Krishnagi Mataji, you can do the start the first one then, and then Luke Prabhu, you can do the second one. So Krishnagi Mataji, you can start the first one. Hare Krishna. Krishnagi Mataji, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, sorry. Shall I start again?
Yes, please.
The Supreme Lord, although the source of all the senses of the living entities, doesn't have material senses like they have. Actually, the individual souls have spiritual senses, but in conditioned life, they are covered with the material elements. And therefore, the sense activities are exhibited through matter. The Supreme Lord's senses are not so covered. His senses are transcendental and are called nirguna. Guna means the material modes, but his senses are without material covering. It should be understood that his senses are not exactly like ours. Although he is the source of all our sensory activities, he has his transcendental senses, which are uncontaminated. This is very nicely explained in the Svetaswatar Upanishad 319, in the verse Apanipa Javano Grahita. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no hands which are materially contaminated, but he has his hands and accepts whatever sacrifice is offered to him. That is the distinction between the conditioned soul and the super soul. He has no material eyes, but he has eyes. Otherwise, how could he see? Between the conditions, he sees everything, past, present, and future. He lives within the heart of the living being, and he knows what we have done in the past, what we are doing now, and what is awaiting us in the future. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. He knows everything, but no one knows him. It is said that the Supreme Lord has no legs like us, but he can travel throughout space because he has spiritual legs. In other words, the Lord is not impersonal. He has his eyes, legs, hands, and everything else. And because we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, we also have these things. But his hands, legs, eyes, and senses are not contaminated by material nature.
Thank you, Krishna Mataji. Luke Prabhu, if you can take up the second one.
Can I read, Prabhuji?
I think I was asking for Luke Prabhu to ask to read. So sorry, Sipra Mataji. Oh, sorry, who was that? I can next time. Sorry about that. So Luke Prabhu, you can continue. Yeah.
Is it the bit that starts with Bhagavad Gita? Red.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, Bhagavad Gita. Yeah.
Okay. Bhagavad Gita also confirms that when the Lord appears, he appears as he is by his internal potency. He is not contaminated by material energy because he is the Lord of material energy. In the Vedic literature, we find that his whole embodiment is spiritual. He has his eternal form called Satchit Ananda Vigraha. He is full of opulence. He is the proprietor of all wealth and the owner of all energy. He is the most intelligent and is full of knowledge. These are some of the symptoms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the maintainer of all living entities and the witness of all activity. As far as we can understand from Vedic literature, the Supreme Lord is always transcendental. Although we do not see his head, face, hands, or legs, he has them. And when we are elevated to the transcendental situation, we can see the Lord's form. Due to materially contaminated senses, we cannot see his form. Therefore, the impersonalists who are still materially affected cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Luke Prabhu and Krishna Mataji. That was very nice. So, yeah, we'll just chant Mangalacharan before we start. Om Ajnanati Mirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Peshtaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Charu Swami Niti Namine Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Peshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So let me now share my PowerPoint. Give me a second. Okay. Right, here we go. So as usual, we'll just do the chapter summary. Chapter 13, Kshetra Shakti Yoga, Nature, the Enjoyer, Consciousness. So text 1 to 7, Arjun's 6 questions and Krishna's partial answers to those questions. Then 8 to 12, very, very nice section we did over a few days. Krishna explains the process of knowledge and liberation. Now this current session, 13 to 19, Krishna explains the object of knowledge. So today's verse, we just recited, just one second, we recited, I think, Rasa Leela Mataji recited that quite well. But so we'll just go with the English just as a reminder. The super soul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. He is unattached, although he is the maintainer of all living beings. He transcends the modes of nature, and at the same time, He is the master of all the modes of material nature. So we look at the main points. Something going wrong with my animation here, but just ignore that. So the text is saying the supersoul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. So in the previous verse, in the last verse yesterday, which Madhukumari must have explained nicely, I wasn't able to join the class or listen to the recording. There he's saying that the Lord has his legs, his hands, his ears, everywhere, his eyes and everything. So now suddenly in this verse, it is saying the supersoul is the original source, but he is without senses. So it seems like it's a contradiction, doesn't it? It seems like now on one hand you're saying, yes, he's got his legs and hands and ears and eyes everywhere. And now you're saying supersoul actually is without senses. So the point is that he doesn't have material senses like we have. So that's why we can say, yes, he is from that point of view. He doesn't have senses like us. Our senses are covered with material elements. As soon as the soul is thrown into the material world, then he is immediately covered by the modes of nature and the material elements. The Supreme Lord senses are not so covered, not covered at all, actually. He is way beyond the material modes, so there's no way that the modes can cover him. We'll read later on that actually the modes are controlled by him, rather. His senses are transcendental and are therefore called nirguna. That's why you can say nirguna, without material senses. So this is the kind of verse that sometimes the impersonalists will use, and they will, because they want to prove that the Lord is without form, and it's a Brahmajyoti, that is the Lord. So when here it says that the Lord is without senses, or nirguna, nirguna they literally translated as he has got no qualities. So that means he's got no senses, he's got no form. But that is not the point. The point is that the Lord's senses are everywhere. And of course, he has the senses. Guna, the word guna means, it can mean three things. Rope. Guna can also mean the modes of nature. And guna can also mean qualities. When somebody has some very nice qualities, we would say, uske bade achhe gun hai. Or he's got nice qualities, so guna. So when you say nirguna, that negates it, saying that the person has no qualities. But of course, as we said, the Lord has spiritual qualities. Guna, his gunas are not tainted by the material nature. We are part and parcels of the Lord, so we also have similar. We have, because what we have, if we have gunas, and the Lord doesn't have gunas, that doesn't make sense. How can we have something that the Lord doesn't have? That makes us superior to the Lord. Whatever we have, whatever exists in the material nature, is because it exists in the spiritual world. So if it's not there, it can't be here. So if the Lord doesn't have, if Father, see, we are all sons and daughters of the Supreme Lord, and our qualities we get from the Lord. So if he didn't have them, we wouldn't have them. The Prabhupada quotes this verse. He quotes just the first line of this verse 3.19 from Shvetasvatara Upanishad. Apani pado javano grahita pashyatya chakshu sa shiron srinotya karna. The Lord, the translation is, the Lord does not possess material hands, feet, eyes, etc. Yet he grasps, walks, sees, and hears. And the Prabhupada then confirms in the purport that he has no hands which are materially contaminated, but he has his hands and accepts whatever sacrifice is offered to him. He has no material eyes, but he has eyes. Otherwise, how could he see? He sees everything, past, present, and future. So this is also Prabhupada says, this is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, that he knows everything, but no one knows him. So this is a verse from the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 7:26. Vedaham samatitani vartmanani charjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu veda nakashchana. O Arjun, as a Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the future, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but no one knows me. So we can say, well, I know Krishna. A lot of us know Krishna, but do we really know him? It is said that Krishna's, like, we have some qualities, and sometimes, with good association, good teaching, we develop more qualities. But then those qualities remain as they are. Sometimes they go downwards as well. If you get into bad association, our qualities will go in reverse. But Krishna's qualities are said to be ever increasing. First of all, they're unlimited and they are ever increasing. So his qualities are continuously increasing. So even if you think right at this moment, I know Krishna, already the next moment, his qualities have increased and you don't know him anymore. So this is how incredible he is. That's why he says, but no one really knows me. So we can know Krishna, but nobody can know him completely. So that's the point here. How rare it is for people to know Krishna. That is in the verse 7.3. Anybody know this verse? Quite popular. Manushanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatamapi siddhanam kaschin mam meti tatpata. Out of many thousands among men who may endeavor for perfection, out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So you see, the path for perfection, people have different concepts, as we have discussed many times before. There are different paths for perfection. You can perfect. Some people would go take the path of mystic yoga and try and get perfection through that way. Jnana yoga. People like us would do bhakti yoga. So there are different paths. So in whichever path you reach perfection, hardly anyone would know Krishna though. Because the Jnana yogis would probably know the Brahma Jyoti. They would know Krishna's effulgence. They would not know Krishna. The bhakti, the yogis, the Ashtanga yogis, they would focus on the Paramatma in the heart. So they would know Paramatma perhaps quite well. But again, they would not know Krishna. As we hear many, many times, the three aspects of the one Supreme Lord is Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. So the Bhagwan aspect, Prabhupada explains, is the final conclusion. So people who know Brahman and who know Paramatma, they are still not fully aware of the Bhagwan feature. But if we focus and we know the Bhagwan feature, then automatically the Paramatma feature and the Brahman feature is included in that. So this is how difficult it is for people to know. And actually, Vaishnavas are devotees who are trying to learn about Vishnu and Krishna, whereas the others are not. So actually, you can imagine we are actually in the minority. The vast majority of the people, even in India, are not Vaishnavas. They are so many different paths, of course. And yes, of course, all of them are. We don't want to criticize anybody. They all are happy in their own paths. But we know that if you want to know Krishna perfectly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the acharyas and Srila Prabhupada have given us this wonderful process where we can know Krishna directly. So only a rare devotee who has received the mercy of a great devotee and who has adopted complete unalloyed devotional service to Krishna can know Krishna in truth. Not completely, you would know Krishna, but like I say, Krishna is always unknowable. But we can know Krishna as much as he allows us to. So this fact is confirmed in a beautiful verse in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 12, text 12. This is a conversation between Jadabharat and King Rahugana. Jadabharat is instructing King Rahugana. I have used this verse before as well, but I like to use these verses because they're nice verses, important verses, and if we use them repeatedly, we start to get to know these verses. Rahugana tatapasayati na chejaya wrong meter. Rahugana tatapasanayati na chejaya nirvapanad grihadva. Na chandasa naiva jalagni surya vina mahat padarajo bhishekam. Padarajo bhishekam. Abhishek. But what Abhishek? Not with water. Padarajo, with the dust from the lotus feet of who? Of Mahat, of a great devotee. Now Jadabharat is saying, my dear King Rahugana, unless one has the opportunity to smear his entire body with the dust of the lotus feet of great devotees, one cannot realize the absolute truth. One cannot realize the absolute truth simply by observing celibacy, brahmacharya, strictly following the rules and regulations of household life, leaving home as a vanaprastha, accepting sannyas, or undergoing severe penances in winter by keeping oneself submerged in water, or surrounding oneself in summer by fire and the scorching heat of the sun. There are many other processes to understand the absolute truth, but the absolute truth is only revealed to one who has attained the mercy of a great devotee. Such a powerful verse this. So we need to always remain in association of great devotees, and if by chance, fortunately, we get mercy, we get their blessings, then the speed, the gati of our spiritual life increases many fold. Then Prabhupada says, Bhagavad Gita also confirms that when the Lord appears, he appears as he is by his internal potency. He is not contaminated by the material energy because he is the Lord of the material energy. So, chapter 4, text 6, this is where he speaks about him appearing within his own potency. Ajopi sans abhyayatma Bhutanam Ishvaropi san Prakritim swam adhisthaya sambhavamyatma mayaya. Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium by my original transcendental form. So this particular verse appears after that discussion. Well, this is part of the discussion between Arjuna and Krishna, where Krishna is saying that I instructed this supreme science of yoga to the sun god, Vivashwan. And Arjuna is saying, you are the same age as me. How did you do that? Vivashwan existed so many millions of years ago. So this is the part of that explanation Krishna, the Arjuna is getting from Krishna. In that purport of that verse, Prabhupada explains, in the material world, the living entity has no fixed body, but transmigrates from one body to another. So we have this body now, which we are very proud of, and we're doing so much to look after it and everything. But when our soul leaves this body, that's it. This body is finished, and we will go on and take on another body according to our karma. We all know that. But Krishna doesn't do that. Krishna doesn't have to take another body. First of all, Krishna comes by his own sweet will. We don't have, our will doesn't really work when it comes to what body we achieve next life. That is decided by the superior authorities, karmana deva netrena chantu deha papate, by the arrangements of the Supreme Lord, and by the material nature, we get our next body. But Krishna doesn't get a body like that. His body comes by his own sweet will. So Prabhupada continues, the Lord, however, does not do so. whenever he appears, he does so in the same original body by his internal potency. In other words, Krishna appears in this material world in his original eternal form with two hands holding a flute. He appears exactly in his eternal body, uncontaminated by the material world. So his form is Satchit Ananda. It is explained in the purport. Krishna's form is Satchit Ananda. Brahma Samhita, the very first verse in the Brahma Samhita confirms this. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradi Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is a supreme Godhead. He has an eternal, blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, and he is the prime cause of all causes. Sarva Karana Karanam. Then the text itself actually is saying that he transcends the modes of nature, and at the same time, he is the master of all the modes of nature. Does anybody know this verse in the 9th chapter? Scholars today. Maya takshana prakriti suyate se characharam hetunanena kontaya jagat viparivartate. This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So Krishna declares here, without any doubt, that he is the controller, way beyond this material nature, and the material energy is working under his direction. He is full of all opulences, the verse is saying. So the six, he's got unlimited opulences, but the six opulences mentioned, we all know about them, which he possesses in full. Can somebody name the first one?
Full beauty,
Full beauty, very good. Full beauty.
Wealth, strength,
Well, yes.
fame, beauty, and renunciation.
Some missing. Well, so let's do again. Rastalila Srimati Mataji, you mentioned beauty, strength, then?
Wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation.
Yes, you got them all. You got them all. So beauty, strength, fame, wealth, knowledge,
and renunciation.
And renunciation. So these are the six qualities which the Lord possesses in full, in complete, 100%. Now, because we are part and parcels of the Lord, we also have some of these qualities to a lesser or greater degree. Some of us may have more of one and less of the other, and so forth. But we all have a little bit of this, but in minute quantities. Even if somebody is very beautiful, for example, or somebody is very, very strong, that in comparison to what Krishna has is just a bit of this, is very, very small quantity. But Krishna has those qualities in full. We have them in minute qualities, minute quantity rather. Also, whatever opulences we possess, they are limited and they're temporary. They're limited to the effect that if somebody has beauty, that is temporary, because as soon as old age comes, the beauty will fade away. Similarly with strength, as you get older, your strength weakens. Fame can come and go, as we know. Somebody can be very famous today, and something will happen, and they will be hiding their faces. Wealth, well, Lakshmi is very chanchal, they say. Doesn't stay in one place for so long. So wealth also can come and go. Knowledge, Knowledge, yes, knowledge. Mostly, you would say that knowledge. Once you acquire some knowledge, it stays with you. But again, when you finish this life, that's the end of that knowledge. You start from scratch the next time. Unless it's spiritual knowledge, of course, spiritual knowledge will go with you, but material knowledge doesn't. And renunciation, that's one we will struggle with. Most of us struggle with renunciation. So, but anyway, all of these qualities, even if they last a lifetime, still at the end of our body, we have to give them up. So the great sage Parasar Muni, he is the one who actually gave us a beautiful verse, giving us these 6 opulences. Aishvaryasya samagrasya viryasya yashasriya jnana vairagyoschaiva sannam bhagam itingara. Bhaga means opulence. That's why Bhagwan means one who possesses opulence. Bhagwan means who possesses all these 6 opulences in full, all riches. This is the translation. So the order is, and then the wording is slightly different. It says all riches, all strength, all influence, all wisdom, all beauty, and all renunciation. So yes, we may have all of these things, but of course, at the end of our life, we would leave all those things, and we would be alone without any of our opulences. So I'll just finish with a short story about how everything abandons us at the end of life. So there was a rich king. I'm sure you all have heard this story, but just to remind everybody. And he had 4 wives. I haven't told this story for a long time, so I have to get the sequence right. So the 4 wives. So the 4th wife is he looks after her very, very well. He takes everything everywhere he goes. He dresses her very well. The best food for her, everything. So very well looked after. The 3rd wife, he shows off to everyone. Is very proud of her. The second wife, he spends a lot of time with, always talking to her, and giving a lot of time. And the first wife, he just has basically ignored. Doesn't like her very much, doesn't spend much time with her, doesn't do anything for her. So then one time it came time to die. He realized the time is up, and the doctors had told him that now you have to leave this body. So he suddenly starts to feel very lonely. He's a king, he's had his 4 wives, everything was going, now what? I'm going to be very, very lonely. So he calls his dear wife. We spent so much time together. I've given you all my time, taken you everywhere with me, given you everything I could give you. Now I'm dying. I'm really afraid to be lonely. Will you please come with me? So she says, no, I can't. And she just left. Then he goes to the 3rd wife. And he says, I have been so proud of you and everything. Don't want to be lonely. Will you come with me? She says, as soon as you die, I will remarry. The 2nd wife, same question was asked, and she says, I can only come. I'll come and I'll drop you to the crematorium, but that's all I can do. I can't come with you anymore further than that. And that is the first wife speaking. And she comes to the room, and she is really thin, wearing ragged clothes and everything. Of course, she's not been looked after. And she says, I'll come with you. Wherever you go, I will go with you. And he then starts lamenting, saying, I haven't done anything for you. All the other 3 wives I did everything for, but for you, I did nothing. And so anyway, now, can somebody recognize who was the 4th wife?
Atma.
Soul.
The 4th wife who said, who didn't want to go. The fourth wife said, "I'm nothing to do. I'm going."
Is the body. Body.
Who said the body? Yes, the body.
Body.
I think who said body? So first wife, the body. So our body, as soon as we die, of course, the body can't go with us. It's finished. Then the third wife.
The second.
The
Family.
The third wife who used to show off.
I think it's the wealth. The wealth.
The wealth. So you see, our wealth, we show off our property, our cars, we show off to everybody. But that also, it says, that wife said, I'll remarry, which means whatever money or whatever possessions we have, we go to somebody else as soon as we die, whether it's our children or wherever, right? Or whether the taxman takes it, he's going to go. And the second wife who says that I can relative, yes, relatives and friends. So you can see all these four wives. All of us have these four wives in our lives. Not literally, of course, thankfully, but we have these four connections. And you can imagine that similarly, as per this king, we will have nothing, this soul. And the fourth wife is?
Bhakti.
Soul.
Yes.
Knowledge.
Bhakti is correct. Soul. Our soul, really, because what's happening is all the people, all of us, we have completely neglected the soul. We do everything in our life for the body, for the relatives, for looking after our money and our properties and everything, but we do nothing for the soul. What is the food for the soul? Bhakti, as somebody just mentioned. Bhakti. If you don't do devotional service, the soul is going to be like that first wife, completely malnourished, right? Completely ragged, because the soul hasn't been nourished throughout the life. So we need to make sure that we nourish our soul. All of us, of course, on this call are doing it every day, which is fantastic. But this is what we need to tell our friends and family, that please remember, just chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. If you can just do that, that is food for the soul. And then bhakti, the more other processes of bhakti you can take on later, but at least start chanting the name of the Lord. Do something for the soul. That's the soul is the only thing that will go with us. So devotees, I will stop now. Thank you so much. I will just remind you about the live to give. Please keep your mind to it. We've got the last 5 days left of Kartik. So please do whatever we can to help this campaign. Do Shastra Dan, any Dan you do in the month of Kartik, and especially in this last 5 days. The last 5 days of Kartik month is called Bhishma Panchak. So these five days, although the whole month is so potent in terms of whatever devotional activities we do, everything is multiplied by 10,000. But these 5 days, last 5 days are even more potent, extremely potent. So whatever we can do in these last 5 days in terms of donations, in terms of book distribution, it is just absolutely invaluable. So I'll just leave you with that thought, and then I'll open for any comments, any questions, realizations, any corrections.
Krishna Prabhuji. Today is a Bhisma, like Panchak.
Yes.
Can you tell something about it?
So Bhishma Panchak starts the last day. So it starts from this Ekadashi, and it'll finish at Punam, right? So these last 5 days are the last 5 days of Ekadashi, and Lord Bhishma Dev did this vrat for the last 5 days. Palika Mataji, perhaps maybe you can, did he leave at the end of this or what? I'm not sure. I've completely forgotten about that. Any significance about his leaving his body?
I think he was waiting for Krishna to come. He wanted to see Krishna before he leaves.
Okay, yes,
So
yes.
he was waiting for his time, and then he wanted to see Krishna, but he didn't see him as a Narayan. Because his relation was Shivalri.
Yes.
So I think he had the destiny to wait for his time because he had these brata. So, but he wanted to see Krishna. That's why he was waiting when Krishna comes. I don't know the whole significance of this brata.
I there's some significance.
Actually,
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. He fasted for these 5 days, and then Krishna was so pleased. He said, anyone who fast orders, austerities in this 5 days, they'll be, I'll be very pleased with them.
Oh,
This
thank
is
you,
very
Krishna.
important.
Yeah, thank you. That's why there's something else. So because Bhishma, exactly. So Bhishma, Lord Bhishma, Bhishma Dev, he fasted for these 5 days and he got amazing. So he got darshan of Krishna and Krishna was very pleased. So he then said that anybody who does any austerity, any donation, any auspicious work in these 5 days will get rewarded amply. So this is Bhishma Voichak. So we need to, these 5 days, we need to read as much as we can, chant more if we can, do whatever we can on devotional services, just increase your devotional activities in these last 5 days, just make it intensified so we can get all the benefits. Of course, offer your lamps every day as we always do, but this is in addition to all that.
Hare Krishna, Mukunda-Hari Prabhu. Just a question for you, if I can ask you. I don't know whether I understand now. When we know that Krishna never leaves his Golok Vrindavan, he's always there.
Mm.
But when he comes here, so he comes in his original form. So what happened? And I mean, he can be 2 places at the same time.
Yes,
So I just want to know, I want to understand this, please.
yes. So Krishna, so first of all, Krishna is not limited like us. I am
No.
here in my room, in my study upstairs. I cannot be downstairs at the same time, or I cannot be in the manor at the same time. But Krishna can be in different places at the same time. We know this from the pastime of him marrying the 16,108 queens, right?
Queen.
He
Yeah.
was in those palaces, in those separate palaces at the
Yeah,
same
time. Yeah.
So that's why he can be in Golok Vrindavan and also be on earth at the same time.
But he comes in his original form when he comes. So
But he
is,
was.
I mean, he can be original form in both the places.
Yes, he was in his original form in all the 16,108 palaces. He was in the original form.
Yeah.
So he can. His original form is not limited to one.
Okay, thanks.
Thank
you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Anybody?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, this candle lighting will be happen until then Poonam, the day of Poonam, or till next day?
No, until I believe it's Poonam. Again, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's up to Poonam.
Okay.
So
It
it's
is up to Poonam, yes.
Up to Monday, Prabhu.
Up to Monday, is it? 1 second, let me see the date here. November.
Monday is Poonam.
30th
Monday is
November. November.
Exactly, 30th. Exactly on 30th, Monday. That'll be Poonam. Yeah.
Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Girish Prabhu. Thank you. So it looks like for once I finished on time today. Normally I'm always running late. But this is a very, very nice verse to learn.
Prabhuji, but in temple calendar it says Poonam is on 29th, Sunday, instead of Monday.
Okay.
No, we finish on the 30th on Monday. That is right.
Yeah. So then, if is it the ISKCON calendar which says this Poonam is on?
Yes.
I think that's the Indian
Yes.
calendar.
Indian calendar, but I think even ISKCON, we are all following that.
Girish Prabhu, yeah. If the Indian calendar we don't generally follow because those calendars don't take into account the planetary positions of UK.
Yeah, it's a ISKCON temple only which Prabhuji yearly calendar comes.
Okay. So there it says, okay, mine is
29th, yeah.
Okay, mine is downstairs. Okay, so right, I need to just check on that. I'm sure that the last day of Kartik is the 30th.
30th. It is 30th. We finish on 30th.
Yeah. So yeah. And I was also sure that it ends on Poonam, but maybe it's one day after Poonam, perhaps. But I need to double check that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Girish Prabhu. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Premila Mataji.
I think Bhishma Dev, he was also waiting for the sun to be in the right direction. is, I forgot the name of it, Uttanarayan, something like that.
Uttaraya, yes, in the northern hemisphere.
Yes, so that was the right time to leave the body. It was an auspicious time.
Yes, yes. But then for him, over and above all those auspicious times, his main thing was that he wanted to leave after seeing Krishna.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Pamela Mataji. Yes. All right, devotees. So it's coming up to 8:45. So once, okay, hold on a second. I haven't actually looked at because I didn't stop sharing. I didn't look at the messages. Let me quickly look at that. See if there's any questions there. Yeah, okay. I don't think there's some nice comments. Appreciating the class. Thank you so much for your appreciations. But I don't think there was any question as far as I can see. Nimisha Mataji is saying thank you, and very fortunate enough to be part of the Live to Give project. Thank you so much, Nimisha Mataji, for taking part. Wonderful. That's it. I don't think there is anything else on there in terms of questions. Great. Thank you so much, devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the Kartik month. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you very
Krishna.
much.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Prabhuji.
much,
Thank
Raman.
you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Wonderful
Krishna,
class.
Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hari Bo.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. ji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Bharat bhai.
Oh, no,
Oh,
yoga
Bharat
time.
Bhai. Bharat Bhai,